Franz Kafka, Letters to Milena. Sunday. This speech on 2 pages of your letter, Milena, comes from the depths of your wounded heart. That hurt me is what you wrote, and I have done this to you. And it rings out as clearly and proudly as if I had hit steel and not your heart, demanding the most obvious things, and moreover misunderstanding me, for my ridiculous people are really none other than your own. And incidentally, when did I ever take sides between the two of you? Where is the sentence? Where would I have come up with this infamous idea? And who am I to condemn? I who am so far below both of you in every essential aspect. Marriage, work, courage, devotion, purity, freedom, independence, truthfulness, that it disgusts me to even talk about it. And when would I have dared offer active assistance? And if I had dared, then how could I have actually assisted? Enough questions. They were sleeping soundly in the underworld. Why call them up into the daylight? They are grey and sad, and affect one the same way. Don't be so certain that 2 hours of life are more than 2 pages of writing. The writing is poorer, but clearer, and so your speech misunderstands me nevertheless. It is directed at me, and I am not guiltless. But oddly enough, precisely because the above questions must be answered, with no and nowhere. Then your lovely telegram came, to comfort me against the night, my old enemy. If the comfort doesn't last, it really isn't your fault, but the fault of the nights. These short, earthly nights are almost enough to make one fear the eternal night. Of course, the letter contains just as much wonderful solace, but on the whole it must be treated as one unit tyrannized by the 2 pages. The telegram, on the other hand, is independent, and knows nothing about that. However, Milena, I can say this against the telegram. If, disregarding everything else, I had gone to Vienna, and if you had given me the same lecture, which, as I said, doesn't pass right by me, but hits me, and justly so, not a full hit, but strong enough, face to face. And if it weren't said then, it would have had to be thought in some way, glanced, twitched, or at least presumed. Then with one blow, I would have fallen prostrate, and no matter how good a nurse you are, you could not have helped put me on my feet again. And if that hadn't happened, then something worse would have. You see, Milena, right now, I only want to say this. Moreover, I still haven't read your letters thoroughly, just flown around them, the way a fly circles a lamp, burning my head several times. By the way, they are 2 separate letters, as I've already discovered. One to be completely imbibed, the other designed to horrify. The latter is probably the later. If you run into an acquaintance and urgently ask how much 2 times 2 is, the question will seem lunatic. On the other hand, it's very appropriate in elementary school. With my question to you, Milena, both elements are present, both the asylum and the school. Fortunately, the school is there too. I never could understand it when someone got mixed up with me. And there are many relationships, for example the one with Vice, which I destroyed with my logical disposition, my tendency to believe more and more the other person had erred, and less in miracles, at least in regard to myself. I thought, why use such things to stir up the waters of life, even more than they already are? I can see a stretch of the road ahead, the road which is possible for me, and I know how far, probably unattainably far, I would have to be from my current position to deserve even a casual glance, from myself, not to mention from others. This is not modesty, but arrogance, if you think it over. Even a casual glance, and now I receive your letters, Milena. How shall I describe the difference? A man is lying in the filth and stench of his deathbed, and the angel of death, the most blessed of all angels, arrives and beholds him. May this man even dare to die? He rolls over, burying himself deeper and deeper in his bed. He is incapable of dying. In short, I don't believe what you write, Milena, and there's no way it could be proven to me, nor could anyone have proven it to Dostoevsky on that night, and my life consists of one night. Only I could prove it to myself, and I can imagine being able to do so, just as you once imagined the man on the deck chair. But I wouldn't be able to believe myself either. Thus, this question was a ridiculous device, as you noticed right away, of course. The kind a teacher sometimes uses when, out of exhaustion and yearning, he deliberately lets himself be deceived by one correct answer into believing that the pupil thoroughly understands the subject, whereas in reality the pupil only knows it for some irrelevant reason, and is in fact incapable of more thorough understanding. For only the teacher could teach him that, but not by whining, complaining, caressing, pleading, dreaming. Do you have the last 5 or 6 letters? You should look at them. They're all part of the whole. But only by... Let's leave that open. On glancing through your letter, I see that you also mention the girl, so that there won't be any doubt. Beyond the momentary pain, you have done the best thing possible for this girl. I can't think of any other way she might have freed herself from me. Of course she did have a certain painful foreboding, but not the faintest idea where the place beside me acquired its warmth. Uncanny, though not to her. I remember we were sitting next to each other on the sofa in a one-room apartment in Wierzchowice. It was probably in November. The apartment was supposed to become ours a week later. She was happy to have acquired at least this apartment after so much trouble. Her future husband was sitting next to her. I repeat, getting married was solely my own idea. I alone was pushing toward this end. She was merely scared and compliant against her will. But then naturally the idea began to grow on her. When I think about this scene with all its details, more numerous than heartbeats in a fever, then I believe myself capable of understanding every human delusion. In this case, I myself was deluded for months as well. Although it wasn't just delusion, I also had other motives. Evidently, it would have been a marriage of reason, in the best sense of the word, capable of understanding every delusion to its core, and I am afraid to raise the glass of milk to my lips, since it easily might burst right before my eyes, driving the splinters into my face, not by accident, but on purpose. One question. What exactly are you being reproached with? Yes, I have made people unhappy before, but certainly they don't go on and on reproaching me. They simply turn silent, and I believe they don't even reproach me inwardly. This is the exceptional status I have among people. But all this is unimportant compared to an idea I had while getting out of bed this morning, an idea which so enthralled me that I found myself washed and dressed without knowing how. And I would have shaved the same way had a guest not awakened me. It was the lawyer who considers meat a necessary diet. Briefly, it's like this. You leave your husband for a while. That's nothing new, it's already happened before. The reasons are your illness, his nervousness. You're also bringing him relief. And finally, the conditions in Vienna. I don't know where you'd like to go. The best place for you might be some peaceful part of Bohemia. It will probably also be best if I don't interfere or even show myself in person. Whatever money you need, you temporarily borrow from me. We'll agree on the terms of repayment. To mention only one of the additional benefits that this would give me, I would become enraptured by my work. My job, by the way, is ridiculous and lamentably easy. You can't even imagine. I don't know what they pay me for. If now and then there are months when this proves insufficient, you should easily be able to raise the difference yourself. I'm sure it wouldn't be much. For the moment I won't say anything more in praise of the idea. However, this does give you an opportunity to show me with your reaction whether I can trust your judgment concerning other ideas of mine, since I know what this one is worth. Kafka. Now that I have written that, I am reading your comment on eating. Yes, I am sure in that case it could even be arranged for me, since I would then have become such an important man. I am reading the 2 letters in the way the sparrow is pecking up the crumbs in my room, in trepidation, attentively, on the lookout, feathers all puffed up.